So you want to arm wrestle?
Wait, what?
You've never lost?
That's kind of what they all say, isn't it? Well, you're probably gonna want to be ready to lose. What's up, guys? Farm Wrestler here, and today we are going to talk about starting off on arm wrestling, getting into the sport, finding a club, how to train, what to expect, and maybe I can help you avoid some of the pitfalls that a lot of guys get trapped into. So if you want to learn about starting arm wrestling, let's go for a ride. I know how intimidating the whole arm wrestling thing can be. You know, like you're watching YouTube videos and you're seeing all these beasts and everything just, smashing people, and you're maybe seeing arms get snapped and biceps ruptured and all those sorts of things. But there are ways to arm wrestle safely. Of course, accidents do happen, but a lot of that can be avoided. And after a few years, generally, I don't want to say you're out of the clear for injuries like that, but generally arm breaks and things like that aren't going to happen to more experienced pullers. First off, I want to talk about how you can find people to arm wrestle with. There's a website that I look at when I'm traveling. It's called I believe armfighter.com, and they have a map of the US, I believe, and all the different arm wrestling clubs that are registered with them on that map, and you can find something really easy that way. Or if you have a tournament in your area, and Arm Fighter lists a whole bunch of tournaments too. That's kind of where I pick and choose a lot of my tournaments from. But they've got a whole bunch of tournaments listed. I mean, go to a tournament and see what it's all about, and talk to guys. You'll find guys from your locale pretty much no matter where you're from. And I've never heard of an arm wrestling group, be like, no, we don't want any new guys. We're good. Like, everybody's very inviting, and they're gonna show you the ropes. Along those lines, also though, there's probably some clubs that are better than others. You don't want to go to a place where they're just constantly smashing you, smash the new guy, because that's no fun, that hurts, and you're not going to want to go back there. What you want to find is a club that's got guys really of all levels that are willing to let you work and to win some and things like that.
Find a good club, first of all. You gotta have a good training partner. Gotta have guys that know how to check the ego at the door and welcome you in, and are willing to help you learn. That's the number one thing for sure.
That being said, it's not a good idea to show up to your practice and be the guy like, oh, I've never lost. I've never lost an arm wrestling match before in my entire life. And it's like, yeah, that's the arm wrestling you've been doing, if that is true, is an arm wrestling. We're talking, that's like barroom arm wrestling, guys that aren't arm wrestlers. And you come in there chirping like that, and there's a good chance that you're gonna get put in your place. Because the honest fact about arm wrestling is everybody loses. You don't see many low light reels on YouTube, though, do you? You don't see many videos of guys getting stomped, because that makes them look bad. I know people like to beat me and post that they beat me and everything, but you missed the other two matches where I pinned you. Why don't you post those? Well, it's a pride and ego thing. So actually, at the end of this video, I am going to post as many of my losses as I can find, from big guys, little guys. Some of them are from my first 6 months in arm wrestling. Some of them Well, most of my losses, I've been able to beat those guys. There's a few that I haven't seen in a couple of years, but we'll post that at the end, my low light reel, because even my friends think I'm, like the toughest dude around or something, and that I never lose. But like, I lose. I lose a lot, and you have to be willing to take losses in arm wrestling, or you're never going to compete. And that's another issue that I see a lot, is all these guys that practice every week, but they never compete. They're practice champions, but it's completely different in a tournament. Especially for a guy like me, I'm never going all out in practice, and I'm never pulling with adrenaline in practice. And so a lot of guys that can beat me in practice, and then we grip up in a tournament, and it's a whole nother ball game. So you don't want to be a practice champion. You want to be a tournament champion, but it definitely takes time. You can't. There's no shortcuts in arm wrestling.
It's easy to see what's going on in the arm wrestling world, especially at the highest level, and be like, I want to do that right now. Patience. Arm wrestling is just a slow progression. It just is. There's no fast track to the top.
You've got to put in the time and the effort and the consistent training in order to reach any kind of level. But if you do that, you get pretty quick where you can wipe the floor with, for sure, any non-arm wrestler, unless there's some kind of weird freak of nature. But I'm not worried about arm wrestling a non-arm wrestler. It's just two completely different things at this point. So I don't worry about this guy that can curl 315 and bench 600 pounds. He's only been arm wrestling for 2 months. I've arm wrestled guys like that, and like, what do you know? The arm wrestler wins. It's not about that. So let's talk about those first, I don't know, half a dozen practices at least. I would caution you against doing too much. I don't know how many times we've had guys show up to practice, and not always, but sometimes, they have a huge ego. They've never lost, and when they come in, with an attitude about how strong they are and things like that, like, I'm not going to let you pin me, because I know in your mind that you need to be humbled. And so I'm not going to let you pin me, and guys will go crazy on that first one. We had a big strong dude, super heavyweight, come, and he was going crazy, and I mean, sweating all over the place, laying on the ground, huffing and puffing, and he could not move anybody out of center. He was a guy that's never lost, and I think he was so sore and so defeated mentally, and his ego and pride, that he unfortunately didn't come back. But I would say over half the people that go to their first practice will not come back the next time, because they are hurting so bad in so many different places. I mean, you get deep throbbing pain in places you didn't even know existed. If you can ease your way into some of that, you will be in a much better place. So you definitely want to know when to quit. It's hard, I get it, because it is fun. It's fun to battle with guys. It's fun to test your strength, test everything. But knowing when to quit those first few practices is very good. And then, let's say you've been practicing for a few months. You're like, I think I'm ready to compete. Well, you might not be getting too sore at practice, but there's a chance that at your first tournament, you'll be questioning whether you still want to arm wrestle or not. I've been the sorest I've ever been, you know, after arm wrestling tournaments, obviously, and, you know, questioned like, what have I gotten myself into here? You know, like weeks and weeks of deep throbbing pain, and, you know, it ruins your whatever you do in the gym. And so that's another reason why it's a good idea to take it easy when you start, especially if you like the gym, because when you're heavy into arm wrestling training and table time, it negatively affects what you can do in the gym. There's just, and unless you're just superhuman, I don't know, but like I know if I take a couple weeks off of table time, my gym lifts go up, mostly because everything isn't hurting so bad. You know, I'm not like, oh, the shoulders click in and my elbows click in, and, you know, oh, it's stuck, it needs to pop. You know, if I take time off, you know, things heal up. But I also feel like the more time I take off the table, the less efficient I am and the less strong I am as an arm wrestler. How would you recommend starting off training for a new athlete?
I think so getting your GPP up, your general prepared fitness, I think that's the baseline. You definitely want to start incorporating more arm wrestling specific stuff to get that muscle memory going and to strengthen those areas that you're definitely going to need on the table. But having a foundation of strength is the number one thing. You've got to be a strong person. And then you can build up your arm wrestling specific stuff from there. So I think if you're just now starting the sport, if you can find a nice, good workout, you know, program that's going to help strengthen the upper body, that's a good place to start. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. After that, it's just building up your fundamentals, not getting ahead of yourself.
Farm wrestler.